Welcome to episode 238 of the Ben Briggs podcast. I am Ben Briggs. It is Saturday, people. Saturday the 14th of August, 2021. You know the year. You know it by now, surely. It is Reminiscence Day here at Briggs Towers, people. We are still here at Briggs Towers. I know. The move is dragging on. I keep saying this every episode. Well, most episodes anyway. But it is, fuck me. Jesus Christ. I don't even want... Hey, man, I don't even want to talk... I've become one of those people now. I don't even want to talk about it. So, but then you want them to talk about it more, don't you? When somebody says that to you. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. Go on, talk about it. Tell me what's going on. Feed my thirst for gossip. So that's still an ongoing thing. But however, we are on the coffee this morning, one of them mornings, and it's a bit of a reminiscence today, as I was about to say. Let's have some coffee first. Hang on. There we go, a little bit of coffee. It is, well, it was on the 11th anyway, but kind of this weekend. It is 25 years since the Oasis Knebworth concerts that they did. They did it on a Saturday and Sunday. Sunday the 11th is the day I went. It's like the biggest, it was like the defining gig within the 90s, when Oasis were at the peak of their powers, really, in 1996, before it started to slide a little bit. Although, the next album they released after that, Be Here Now, I really, really love that album as well. It's possibly, no, definitely, maybe, or What's the Story? Morning Glory, brackets, but it's still a good album. I enjoy it. I enjoy listening to it, people. So it's 25 years since Knebworth. I was actually lucky enough to go there. Basically, I went on the Sunday. This was old school as well, people. We're talking old school 90s. I know people look back at the 90s now and think... it was, the young kids these days think it was, you're still stringing up people in the street and everybody had their own, every different race in the nation had their own drinking fountains, but they seem to, slag off the 90s a little bit for being an unenlightened era. However, to us, who were quite young at that age, it was, we weren't going around like, abusing people because of the colour of their skin or anything like that, Although, obviously, those things still happen these days, but hopefully more in the minority. But this was a pre-internet age, really. I know people are going to say, hey, man, the internet was around then. It wasn't really for, like, most people. It wasn't, like, a case of, like, you just look at your phone, there's a fucking app for Google, and you just Google shit. There wasn't any of that, and no Facebook, no social media. A more innocent time, people. You know what I mean? You'd have to buy magazines like Enemy or Melody Maker, and I think the tickets went on sale. I didn't get tickets initially, you see. My story of going to Knebworth is a bit of a Cinderella tale, baby. I was quite lucky, but you had to ring up for tickets. I think it was May time. My memory's hazy from the 90s anyway, and not for any particular reason. I just have a fucking bad memory about things. But I think it was May time you had to ring up for tickets, and it was a Saturday you had to ring up. And I mean ring up. I don't mean wait in a queue on the internet, hoping that the website doesn't crash. This was like ringing a number. So you'd hope that you'd get through and it wasn't engaged. And I think something like 2% of the population applied for tickets. And over the weekend, the Oasis played for like 250,000 people. So it's like 125,000 a night. But I didn't ring up for that. I think I was at work or something. I would have been 19, so I would have probably been working at Tesco's at that point while I was still at college, retaking A levels. I think I was doing at that point after fucking them up at school. So I had to work. I used to work Saturdays and Sundays at the local supermarket while I was there, and I'd work 5 till 8 at night as well when the local supermarket at Tesco's, well, I say local supermarket, it was the nearest one to me, Western Fayville. I used to live in a little village, sort of like in Northampton, sort of like Malton. So it was like I think I was cycling as well. I'm sure I was cycling to work at that point. I didn't have a car at that point for some reason. I don't know why. Anyway, I missed out on that, but my brother got tickets. I think my brother's girlfriend at the time, now wife, had managed to get 2 tickets. So her and my brother were going, and on the night of the Saturday night, so Oasis played the Saturday and the Sunday. On the Saturday night, I'd been out to a club or something. You know, I was that kind of a guy, guys. You know what I mean? I'd been out, just come home, just hanging up my white Travolta suit, and just about to get in bed. And I think it was like about midnight or something. I was just about to get into bed. My brother came in and knocked on my door. I think he was back from uni. Yeah, it would have been August, wouldn't it? So he'd have been back from uni at that point, and knocked on my door and just said, "I got 2 tickets to Oasis tomorrow. I'm not going. Me and Sarah have had an argument, and do you want these 2 tickets for Oasis?" At which point, I leapt at the opportunity, obviously, and immediately landline called. This was pre-mobile, people. This was like one step away from throwing up a carrier pigeon in the air and hoping it got to one of my mates, my mate Meng. At that point, I say mate, he was at that point. I haven't even contacted him for years. I haven't seen him in years. I remember going on holiday with him as well, and getting a tattoo, not matching. Obviously, that would be weird, wouldn't it? Yeah, isn't that weird how you can have like a massive experience with somebody and then just never see him again for the rest of your life? Isn't it? I wonder if he's doing a podcast somewhere going, 25 years ago, my mate Ben. Well, I say my mate Ben. I haven't seen him in years. But we used to... Actually, I must have been working at Marks and Spencer's at that point, because that's where I met him. Yeah, not Tesco's, Marks and Spencer's. I've done all the casual supermarket jobs, people, over the years while I've been at college. Yeah, so I rang him on his landline, and he was like, his parents were Chinese and he was Chinese, and I remember his mum answering the phone and just going a bit mental. It was fucking midnight. Don't ever ring. That would be my advice. Don't ever ring a Chinese household at midnight on a Saturday night, because I couldn't really understand what she was saying, but from the tone, I could just work out she weren't an happy chap. Not happy at all. So I just sort of like said his Ming there, and you just hear the abuse you're receiving. I knew I was receiving some sort of abuse verbally. I've never spoken Chinese. I don't even know what dialect of Chinese it was, but you can pick up when somebody is fucked off with you, when you've woke somebody up in another country. That ought to be a thing, shouldn't it? That's how we all learn languages, all learn how to communicate. When we've pushed another nation's buttons, just randomly ring up numbers in other countries at midnight their time. And, right, okay, that's what it's like to be slated in Taiwanese. That's it, isn't it? Dutch. That's what it's like to annoy somebody. What it sounds like when you've annoyed somebody in Holland. Very nice, very nice. I'll put that in my little scrapbook of things I found out this week. Yeah, she was really annoyed. So obviously, this was obviously pre-Google, pre-anything. So I had to borrow a map to try and get from Northampton to Knebworth and write. You know, we take this for granted these days, where you just type in the fucking postcode, and you're like, there, aren't you? Your sat nav just goes, left ear, right ear, down a bit. You know, you got a speed camera coming up. Do a U-turn, you knobhead. You've not been looking at the sat nav enough, and I fucking hate that with the sat nav. That's the only thing with my new car. I fucking hate the sat nav. It's just not as clear where you have to go. When you're coming off at a junction and there's like 2 different exits, you're guaranteed, you know, even half the time you'd have thought I'd get it right. But I'm guaranteed to take the wrong exit and then have to do a U-turn or end up, you know, when you're coming round a roundabout and there's about 8 different exits off it. Like when you're getting on the motorway, you can guarantee I'm going the wrong way. Because I have no sense of direction, people. I'm that programmed into being a sheep when I'm driving. I put my full trust into the sat-nav. The other night, I ended up going like 15 miles out of my way because I took one turn in wrong, and then you're stuck on the motorway until the next turning off, and it was like fucking 7.5 miles away, so you're 7.5 miles there, 7.5 miles back. Bit of coffee there. Anyway, back to the story. Bit more coffee, sorry. That's done. Yeah, so you had to, in those days, you had to plan your route. So you'd be like, this road, come off at junction, whatever, this road, turn left after 2. So I had it all written down. And I think we left about 3 o'clock in the morning. My mate came round, he was driving. That's probably why. That's probably why we've not kept in touch. I finally got a car. Didn't need him. That good. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not saying I wasn't a piece of shit friend to people over the years, but maybe I have been. Maybe our friendship purely relied on the fact that he had a car. Hey, I'm not the only one who's ever done that. Come on, search your soul out there, people. You know you've done it too. You hang around with people when you're like 17 or whatever that you wouldn't normally hang around with, really, but you get friendly with them because they've got a car. They can pick you up, take you places. Oh, dear. Anyway, he came round. We left about 3 o'clock in the morning. I remember getting there. I think we got there about 6 or 7. And Knebworth seemed miles away. I think we made a few stops. It's because if you've never really, like now, it doesn't seem that far away because I drive all over the country doing gigs. That's the thing that gigs gigs gives you that. Doing gigs gives you that mentality. Anything over 3 hours is a bit of a shit. Anything under 3 hours, if you like, you say to people, I'm gigging in Manchester or Liverpool or down by Portsmouth tonight or whatever, and they're like, fucking hell, you're doing that tonight and then coming back, like you're not staying over in a hotel or whatever, and you're like, no. Anything over 3 hours starts to get tiring. Anything under that, you can coast the first hour and a half just on the adrenaline or the adrenaline from the gig or the sheer horror of the death you've just had. Oh, after a bad death, you're just driving home screaming for the first hour and a half. Ah, fuck. Oh, man. Pain. The pain, people. So anyway, like, yeah, we got there about 7 in the morning, I think. And there was already people there, sort of like queuing. You know, you get any event like that, you get the early campers out. And we were kind of like that. I don't think they open the doors until midday, but you could get some breakfast. There was a few stands around. And there was already a queue getting in for it. And but we were quite close to the front of the queue. And we were parked up somewhere where, like, we planned it ahead, like, even though we didn't have, like, a lot of time to plan it. And thank God, like, there was friction in my brother and his wife's relationship at that point. Or I wouldn't have experienced it. Thank Christ. Yeah, so there was places where you could get some food and shit like that. And then I remember when they opened the doors, opened the gates to it and started letting everybody in, we'd parked sort of like, I think we parked in the middle of a housing estate somewhere. So all we needed to do was get out of the venue. We didn't need to get the car out of the venue. We just needed to walk to the housing estate or wherever it was nearby. Hazy memories, people. But I remember them opening the gates and then just running, and being. We got into. There was a front pit, like that was cordoned off. That sort of like was like a VIP bit, I think. And then we got in the second pit, right at the front of the second pit, where it was like cordoned off, and spent most of the time sitting around drinking. And because I wasn't driving, because it was the 90s, my mate didn't seem that bothered about having a fucking beer and driving back, being as we were there all day. I think the actual gig started about 2 o'clock. You know, the supporting people, I remember watching Dread Zone. Let's have a look. Who was on the Sunday? I think Cast were on the Sunday as well. This is a long time ago. This is 25 years ago, people. You know what I mean? Yeah, so on the Sunday, we saw the Charlatans, Manic Street Preachers, fucking great. Cooler Shaker. One decent album-ish. Never heard of them again. Cast, obviously, great band. And Dread Zone. Dread Zone opened, I think. I remember that. And then, obviously, John Squire from the Stone Roses came on for sort of like a cameo feature. But I just remember sitting there in the afternoon. The day was fucking glorious. I even remember what I was wearing. So it's going to be interesting. Like, they're releasing like a whole box set of stuff. So they're releasing on the Oasis website. They're releasing like the Saturday and the Sunday gigs that they filmed. So they filmed all the crowd and stuff like that. So basically, I've bought all that shit. You can get a deluxe like box set. It sounds like I'm flogging it, doesn't it? For about 95 quid. I've spent 95 quid just to see if I can see myself on the Sunday DVD. That's how vain I am, people. That's how vain I am. to see if I can see myself as a younger person. I could just use a filter. I could just look at old photos, couldn't I? But I know exactly what I was wearing that day as well, because I've still got a few photos from that day. I was wearing classic 90s yellow Fred Perry polo shirt with green piping round the, it's essentially the same sort of thing I'd wear these days. Nothing has changed. My fashion sense, when you're younger and, hey, what's the fashion like going to be in 2021, man? In 20 years' time, what's the fashion like? And they do, you always draw somebody with a fucking spacesuit on and a helmet and really futuristic things. It's the same stuff. I buy the same clothes now as I bought in the 90s. They're just, it's just the stuff in the 90s that I did have. I'm rebuying it now to somehow try and relive my youth, but it just makes me look like an old guy who can't afford modern clothing. That's basically it. And it just makes me look as if I've still got that clothing left over from the 90s and I just haven't been out that much to wear it. I don't know, but it was a good day. I remember just like sitting down. It's amazing at those big events. If you ever go to anywhere like Glastonbury, Reading, any of the big festivals, you're bound to run into somebody you know. Bound to. Who vaguely. I ran into like some guy, turned round, and some guy was there with his missus who I used to play Sunday football with. Random. Just sitting literally directly behind us. And it's always weird because you're like, is that? Because they're out of the context where you know them. But the gig was fucking amazing. I just remember it being like fucking great. I remember an awful lot of piss being thrown about. Because you're that rammed in. Nobody wants to lose their place. Like in the afternoon when you're sitting there and that, it's quite relaxed. There's sort of like a picnicky atmosphere when you get there early to any sort of like gig. Everybody's sitting down on the grass. Everybody's got their little space, but you've got like one eye on somebody else. Are they starting to go forward to the barrier yet? Do you think we ought to start going forward to the barrier? We want a good view. That's what we want. Yeah, I remember just somebody like about 10 people away from me just got a full pint, like it was plastic pint glasses in the face with full of piss, where everybody just goes for a piss and then just throws it behind them or throws it to the side. There was loads of food being thrown about everywhere at one point. Somebody got a fucking burger in the face. That's someone's abiding memory, by the way, of one of the best gigs of the 90s. That is somebody's abiding memory of having a pint full of piss thrown at them. Somebody is looking at this, going, 25 years ago, I had a pint full of piss thrown at my face. Or a burger slapped in my fucking eye socket. Fucking brilliant. It was a great day, and I just remember it ending, and then it pissed it down. I think I got a poster and a T-shirt, which I've rebought, by the way. I've still also got my ticket. I've still got my ticket stub from the day, and the wristband from going in pit 2 as well. I've still got that, which I might have to put in some sort of frame or display, or just, I don't know why I've kept those. I never know why anybody keeps anything like that, really. You know, I know it's to reminisce about it, but it's more to prove that you were there, isn't it? Just to show if anybody goes, oh, that's bullshit, you were never fucking there, and then you can get that out, and then they just go, oh, all right then. That's it, isn't it? I don't know why people keep ticket stubs to anything, just to... Surely the experience... Maybe it's more relevant than ever now. I think it was one of the last big gigs, Knebworth. It was the big gig of the 90s, but it was before everything really kicked in, like the internet, mobile phones. You know, you see people at concerts now with mobile phones and they're fucking filming it. And I don't understand. You're there. You know, it's the ultimate experience to try and be in the moment, isn't it? To go to a concert or go to a live comedy show or go to anything that's live, it's the ultimate being in the moment, watching what happens. And people are standing there filming it with their fucking phones. I don't know who's going to want to see that. And it seems to be like the last sort of like era, the 90s is the last sort of era before all of that kicked in. And now you go anywhere and you're being, you know, everything's being filmed in it, you know. Somebody has an argument in the street and you guarantee 10 people will, you know, turn up with their phones, egging you on, bear baiting for a fight just so they can, you know, share it on their social media. Isn't it? Hey, go fuck yourself, man. Oh my God, the next minute. 10 people there all lined up with their cameras. Come on, we want to see somebody get stabbed. This will get me a few likes on Facebook. Anyway, it was easily the best concert I've ever been to, and it was my favorite band. In the biggest gig they've ever played. The atmosphere was just fucking amazing. I didn't see any trouble. No wankers with phones. Obviously, piss being thrown about isn't great, but it's gonna happen. There's no way out. No, you're not gonna lose your place. Yeah. What you're gonna do is you're gonna buy 5 beers. You're gonna drink them all and then keep the containers. And yeah, and just, I imagine it's a lot more difficult for women at gigs like that. Whereas guys, you know, you can just whack it out, can't you? Throw it behind you. Yeah, helping to keep people cool. It just seems like I don't know. It just seemed like a great day. You know, I've seen other bands and stuff, and the last person I went to see was me and Hannah went to see what's his name? The fucking guy that died, Tom Petty. We went to see him down at Hyde Park, I think it was, a couple of years ago. Well, 3 or 4 years ago or whatever. That was all right, you know. But there's nothing like seeing, like, it was all right. She wanted to go, so I go. That's what you do, isn't it? But there's nothing like seeing your favourite band. I saw the Manic Street Preachers as well. Not only in Knebworth, but I went years and years ago when I was about 20 to see the Manic Street Preachers, I think. And but it was in Birmingham and it was a seated arena, and it just didn't have that. There's something nice about a festival vibe where you can just wander around and, you know, get some. There's queues everywhere, obviously. The toilets are awful. But when it's a glorious day and you're sitting outside listening to some good music, the expectancy of your favourite band coming on, it was just a fucking great day. And, like, why the fuck my brother gave me those tickets, I will never know. But it was a fucking good day, I tell you. And I've bought, as I say, I've just bought like the deluxe box thing. I think you get tapes in there, CDs, fucking, and vinyl, and then, you know, like all the usual stuff and that sort of thing. But It'll be nice to see if I can actually see myself. That's all I'm going to be doing, looking for myself on the Sunday gig. And then all I do is go, oh, yeah, there I am, look. Or, yeah, that's a fucking waste of 95 quid. Shit. Maybe I wasn't there after all. Maybe it'll show me and I'm further back than I thought. I don't know. I just remember it pissing it down on the way home. Fucking poster was fucking ruined. I was fucking soaked, but I didn't really... Hey, man, I didn't really give a shit because I was young. Looking forward to life. Who'd have thought it? Anyway, that is half an hour, people. Holy fucking shit. And we've talked about just that. Isn't it? Just one thing we've talked about this episode. Anyway, that was episode 238 of the Ben Briggs podcast. If you want to contact me at all or reminisce, it is just podcast at benbriggs.co.uk. I will be back on Tuesday, motherfuckers. Have a good rest of your weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Listen to a bit of music that you like. Gives you that fucking fire in your belly to do things, doesn't it? And reminisce a little bit from your past. All right. Have a good rest of your weekend. You take care.